Букстар за 11-ти пат фестивал на европската литература. Тимот на Антолог под водство на Жако Кринджиски и неговата екипа успеа одново да ни приуштат уште едно задоволство, уште една огромна навалица од писатели, скриени поети, прозаисти, драматурзи, новинари, кои што со своето творештво оставаат некаков белег. Овој фестивал започна како една мала иницијатива, а се повеќе и повеќе значајни имиња од европската литература сето имаат оставено белег на овој фестивал. Нашиот подкаст со малку нестехно одбрано име се вика Naked Lunch, нели? Буквално преведено е Гол ручек според дело на Вилијам Бероуз, но како и да е, за сите овие години со тоа нестехно име успеавме, значи да имаме такви стекни добитници, да бидат наши гости, наши писатели, наши учесници на овој фестивал и се надевам дека и овој подкаст, како и фестивалот, нели, во целост ќе продолжи во следните години. Затоа што преку ваквиот фестивал се рушат бариерите, се градат пријателства, се градат договори, да речеме и Долче и Утиле успеваат да се преведат нови книги, да се ангажираат и преведувачи, па се надевам дека оваа 11-ка да може да стане и 111-ка. Денеска мој гостин е Онджеј Штиндл, писател од Чешка, кој што е добитник на Европската награда за литература. Некои од нешта ќе се повторат и на англиски јазик, така што како што му објасних поради таа јазична бариера, нели, unfortunately not that Cyril and Methodius would like it, we have to speak in English. So, hello, thank you, hope you're feeling good.
Thank you for having me.
These few days on the festival. So, you are both a writer, journalist, columnist, and also a DJ. So please remind me about the DJ segment.
Radio DJ. I mean, me and some friends of mine, we started kind of pirate radio station in October 1990, and since then the station is not pirate radio anymore. It's like legalized. It was legalized.
What sort of music, let's say, like put it under one umbrella or maybe several different styles?
I wouldn't try to put it under one umbrella. At the beginning, it was more or less like alternative scene or underground rock and stuff like that. And as the time went by, I started to be more eclectic, but basically I would define like, indie alternative scene.
Mm-hmm. Indie alternative, okay. So like from the 90s, it was also a grunge scene there in
sure.
Seattle grunge usually.
Also, yeah.
Were there some Czech bands that were like copycats of famous, like Soundgarden, Nirvana, or maybe Pearl Jam, something like that? Of course, in Slavic.
I mean, there were some, but they were not interesting at all. So, but there were some good Czech bands at that time, yeah. But they were not playing grunge.
Great. You are also a screenwriter, right? You write the scenario for a movie.
Yeah.
Walking Too Fast.
Yeah.
Does it feel different when you are writing for the book, for the paper, or when you are writing for something that should be put on the screen? What is the difference? What is the point of view? Is it different or?
I mean, when you write a book, the thing you write, when you are finished, the thing is finished. Mm-hmm. when you finish writing a book, the book is done. When you write a screenplay, it doesn't mean the film is done. And you don't write screenplay to be, to be smooth to read and stuff like that. You don't write it for a common reader. You write it for a group of very specific people, like a director, photography, editor. So even when you're writing alone, you're still part of some team. So that's the difference. And of course, screenplays are much easier to change, and you have to write it with the full knowledge that the final thing won't be yours only. So, especially when you are not going to direct the movie, you should be aware that maybe you should not try be too personal in it, because it can all get lost during the making the movie. So
everybody had a lot of changes and everything. It's massacrated text.
Not really. It can happen, but it did not happen to me. Writing a screenplay, in writing a book, structure is kind of important. And when you are writing a screenplay, to just establish some structure is even more important, because that's maybe your biggest input. Just to make up a scene and make a sequence of scenes, and maybe when people watch the movie, and when so they maybe applaud or appreciate the screenwriting when they think the dialogue is nice. But there are more important parts in screenwriting than writing a dialogue, or maybe it's the easiest thing, the dialogue. But to build a structure is harder and more important, I think. And writing a book is harder, more draining, and maybe more rewarding. And when you finish,
writing, you think of in sequences, like this was put in a movie, it will be like this.
It's hard to judge for me, because I can't really judge myself or to see myself from distance needed to pass such a sort of judgment. But it's more absorbing, and it's more, writing screenplays is mostly, kind of rational thing, because you are always thinking about, okay, so what we are seeing, who says what, and writing book is can be in maybe those small part of the process, which is really exciting. You can feel like just getting it from the air, like writing stuff which comes to, which maybe sounds like cheap magical thinking, but I don't know. I have no other way to describe it.
So much Czech, толкова много пепел. How it is in Czech?
Tolik popel.
Do you think that we can talk about the pandemic, since it's always been like 5 years ago? Because I know people needed like 20 years after the Spanish food to talk about it, and but since it's like a fresh experience, it kind of changed the world, kind of showed how people acted during this pandemic, at work, at home, family, guests and everything. The pandemic now is gone, or at least it's not so scary. Me personally, as a teacher, like every week I have a person who says, "Oh, you know, I was sick. Like, what was? Did you have some angina, or you have some flu?" I had a COVID. But at the beginning, we were like really scared, like from the Black Plague, you know, like just. And somehow, while I was teaching the Italian Renaissance, at the same time, the whole Balkan went into COVID crisis. It came from Italy, just like the Black Plague started from Italy, you know, in Europe, but it actually came from Asia, you know, not without any assumptions, but your personal experience, how was it to be living, working, you know,
like
just
for me,
being in this era of COVID 5 years ago?
Like for me, compared to others, it was quite all right. I mean, I didn't lose my job. I had a place to be. I started to write this book, so I have plenty to do. Some other people did not have that kind of chance, and I was healthy, so I was quite fine. But at the same time, it was really a confusing time, and it was time when, I mean, everyone was touched by some, like death. You are hidden behind a window, and the death is breathing on it, and you see the vapors.
Was it a total lockdown? Because I can imagine Prague as a city of tourists to be locked down.
Yes, it was, and it was really at the same time unsettling and beautiful at the same time to walk Prague all alone. It was the first day
without tourists, without different voices, without
the first day of the lockdown. I had some, reading or stuff, some media event, and I walked through all the city and met no one, and it was not that uncanny because I remember the empty streets from my youth, so it was it was scary, it was nostalgic, and it was kind of overwhelming.
You belong to the generation of the late communism
and
liberalism, so you're kind of like on the turnover of history, right?
Uh-huh. And so it was.
I cannot recall like Prague as an empty city to be or to be.
It was not totally. There were still some tourists, but few, and the city really looked, worn down, except for a few places like Old Town Square and Castle and stuff. But otherwise, even the old and touristic, what is now very touristic part of town was quite run down at the time, and it was there were those gas lights and nearly dark in the evening and very few people in the street, so it had kind of nocturnal romanticism to it, which one maybe remembers with that sort of nostalgia, but I would never want those times to come back. But
of course. One of your characters in your novel that, kind of like writes about this sort of a pestilence. Whenever there is a pestilence, there is a war, there are the four riders of the apocalypse. Now there are several wars going on. We had a pestilence, we had earthquakes. Do you think that maybe somehow the revelation of John with your character, Camille, it's kind of like approaching? Do you see some sort of apocalypse? Maybe twilight of the gods, if we take the Teutonic mythology, like the end of the world. Do you think that somehow?
Maybe I'm not the best, the most proven authority to be asked about approaching apocalypse, but I mean, I think, or I guess, the feeling of approaching apocalypse is the most common thing throughout the history. So of course I feel like apocalypse is approaching because the same feeling had many generations before, and they had their own reasons for that. So
let's hope that the apocalypse will come later in 2 months in order to get our money from the festival, right? Just
whatever.
One of those apocalyptic approaching characters that they are, like waiting for it is Camille. It's is he some sort of the Czech version of Jim Jones or Charles Manson without the mass killings, of course, but it kind of had it because he had a really naughty youth. A lot of misunderstanding with the surrounding, with the family, with the grandfather and grandmother where he was raised and everything. So, how did you create it? I hope it's not some autobiographical or semi-autobiographical.
Fortunately not. I mean, he's a guy one tends to hate at the beginning, and Krzysztof, the main character, hates him. But there is you mentioned, the revelation of St. John, and there is a quote of the revelation in the book about someone not being cold or hot, but lukewarm, and I will spit you out. It's from the revelation. And you can say for sure that Kamel is not lukewarm. Maybe he's crazy, maybe he's dangerous, maybe he's mistaken, and he probably is mistaken in maybe even grotesque way. But for Krzysztof, for the protagonist, he's kind of he sees in him something he has not in himself, and he in his own way tries to stop being lukewarm, and Kamil kind of maybe unknowingly helps him.
So Kamil is just a random chosen name, or it doesn't have a meaning?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that Krzysztof, or Christo, as we would say here, it's the name of
it's in
Jesus
Czech.
Christus.
No. It's
Jesus Christ.
It's Christopher in Czech. It's
It doesn't have any connection with the Christ?
No, it's Christopher. Czech version of Christopher.
But it's still connected with Christ?
But Saint Christopher was not Jesus. It
Because when you see something that is Christoph, like literally in the Balkans, they're connecting with Christos, the Jesus Christ, Christos. Okay.
I think Czech language
it's still sort of a savor, again.
I think in Czech there is no name which really is like, I don't know, in Spanish you can be named Jesus, and not in Czech.
In Czech, if I'm not mistaken, I was in a cathedral. Is Pan Jesus? No.
Pan Ježíš, yes.
Pan Ježíš.
Yeah, but it's. I think it would be possible, but it's totally uncommon for parents having a child. Okay, let's call him Jesus. No.
Yeah, but Christoph maybe. Yeah,
Christoph. It's okay.
Christoph and Christina. It's also a name that still. Yeah. But he is right wing, she is left wing. If we are following political.
She's definitely. I'm not sure about his politics, but he's not, left wing progressive as Christina is.
Christina is. She's bothered by everything. Everything can be, and he's just a person that. Some say like when you are young, as Christine has, when you are young, until your 30s, it's okay to be a leftist, but then you have to be not a right wing, but maybe a little bit more conservative, because maybe the experience shows you that all those leftist moves that you do are fruitless, maybe that they cannot change anything. So. Just like writing poetry, when you are young, you write the poetry with a lot of passion, with a lot of enthusiasm. In a long sentences, with a long verses, you want to change the world. As you grow old, your last verses are usually 3 words, 5 words, no more than like six verses in a poem. It's the experience, right?
Yeah.
That you cannot change the world, right?
Or, I don't know, do not want to sound too fatalistic, but, still, you can change the world by, you shouldn't, at least I think, you should not, doesn't have to, be so focused on, things going on over the ocean. But where you can change the world a little bit is here and now. And maybe you can pay some attention to that.
This is a good question that I wanted to ask, like I told you, I meet several people, but you are kind of, let's say, somebody from near my generation.
Yeah.
Not very young, not to remember and everything. Here in the Balkan countries, especially in those who were part of former Yugoslavia, who was neither all communist, neither all socialist, neither all capitalistic, but still taking some goods of the capitalism. There is not just like not melancholy, but not just like nostalgia for those times, but also people who will, like rather they want again unification as in Yugoslavia, with the same ideals, morals, because this was more better that time in order of everything had its own place. No mafia, no easy money and everything. Is there a nostalgia for the times of the communistic Czechoslovakia, let's say?
Yes.
Before the 68 revolutionary, or maybe before the...
I think there certainly are some people who are nostalgic for that. Yeah. I do not share that.
Among the youngsters, not the old one who had positions.
You cannot be nostalgic for a thing you don't remember.
No, but some people, somebody who is like 50 years old to say like, it was better that time.
Yeah, sure. There are people like that, yeah. Maybe, we will have election this Friday and maybe they will win, or probably they will win, so. Oh, yeah.
There is a prize that you got, Ferdinand Perutka prize.
It's
right?
a journalistic prize now.
Journalistic prize, yeah, I know. The journalistic, you wanna explain me who is Ferdinand Perutka? Your work as a journalist and as a novelist, does it somehow, there is a collision at some time, or maybe you can divide them and, let's say, Ondřej the journalist, not to bother the Ondřej the writer, or maybe you try to combine them. First about the prize, was it a very famous person?
It's all writing, so that means it has something in common. It's not writing and cooking, and I mean I'm grateful to journalism that thanks to it I'm an easily distracted person, and when a young guy I was really like I was not a diligent person at all. Mm-hmm. So I mean, having a show on radio, just airing songs I like was a kind of job, maybe the only kind of job I was able to actually do. But thanks to journalism, I received, or I got what Flannery O'Connor calls habit of writing. You are used to write, do it every day, because it's your job.
Not chasing the deadlines, because you're writing in time.
Yeah, so it's easier to start a screenplay or book when you have this habit. Writing is what I do. But I don't think that my fiction writing and my journalism are that similar. Like some kind of some journalists, when they start writing fiction, they kind of expand on their journalistic work. Like someone who covers, I don't know, politics or security stuff, and writes a spy thriller.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's not my case. I write about stuff.
I'm covering the culture or the politics? Or?
Both, and maybe society in general. But journalism is about the things you write about. The message or the content or whatever you want to call it is in those words. You have a headline, and there you have text, and it's about something.
It's some sort of frame that you have to follow, right?
But fiction writing for me is about, maybe it sounds too lofty, but at the end, fiction writing is about, is an effort to put the words in your story in a correct order for the thing you have no name for, become palpable between the lines. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's still a newspaper that is going out as a paper. It's not.
It's a weekly, yeah.
Because unfortunately here in Macedonia, I don't think that we can buy something that's like paper.
You do
more
not.
than two newspapers. Everything else is digital.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's the same. So. And it won't be better.
Do you have any special writing technique or a ritual that you follow? It's a usual question that I'm asking, but I'm not asking in order to cover the minutes and everything. It's more like I want to learn from somebody who is having a writing as a everyday work also.
When I'm mostly, or when I talking about fiction writing or book writing, I write in the evening or late in the night, which I'm really not happy about. It may sound kind of romantic.
It sounds romantic,
but it's not.
Definitely
I just like few years ago I read an interview with Nick Cave and they asked him the same question, and it was like, no, it's like a job. I start at 9 and finish at 5 in the afternoon. And I was like, oh shit, I would so love to have it just the same, but I do not. So when I write a book, I start, I don't know, like 8, 9 o'clock, which means first 2 hours it's just sitting helplessly in front of monitor, writing nothing, or maybe correcting the stuff I wrote the day before. But around 11 I start
the gates of hell are open.
No, not really. I just start slowly and feel like I won't do anything. I will do nothing tonight. It's all lost for today. At 1, it kind of, it's kind of starts up, and I end like 3 or 3:30.
But you don't have to be awake in the morning at 7 o'clock for work.
No, not at 7. I'm journalist. Journalists do not work at 7 in the morning. That's a privilege.
So you have the gift of time, right?
Kept, yeah, so I wake up at like 10 or 9 or 10 o'clock.
So you're like a night bird, huh?
Yeah.
As they say. Maybe it's because, everybody who is writing at night gets more emotional at that time, because you're more rational during the morning. But yeah, Nick Cave, he has that sort of... I had opportunity to watch Nick Cave during a concert here. It was like 3 weeks ago with the bass player from Radiohead. They had a concert here, and it was really interesting experience. Do you think that the journalist and the writer also, in the time of crisis, has the role of a prophet, of a revolutionary, or maybe just a passive watcher of the things?
There were definitely some writers or journalists who had that kind of role. There were. I would be surprised to find out about myself. I'm one of them, but who knows? Yeah, but especially now, when the attention span of the public or of everyone is so short, the book is really not a good medium to address some contemporary issue, because when you finish your book, the issue is forgotten.
But your books are still like 200 pages, 250. It's not, it requires attention, but it's still not bothering, it's, when to stop and when to continue.
Yeah, but if I want and to address some, urgent matter, I probably would write an opinion piece, which takes much less effort, is read more widely, and but to write a book about to write some quote unquote message book is not attractive for me, and I don't see much sense in it now, because if someone writes a la these, I maybe have some thesis of my own, but you know, if you can distill a book to 2 lines of so-called message, why bother then?
Maybe next plans, we are winding down a little bit. Do you have any plans, any idea? Not the spoilers, but
my plan is just to stay alive. You know, I had just like 2-3 weeks ago I published a new book, which I still think is quite good, and you know, and I spent a lot of time with it, not only writing it, but also thinking about it and living with the characters. So maybe I'm still kind of drained.
So you need a break somehow.
So maybe I.
So actually, we are doing a presentation of your, if I say like in a band. In a band way, this is your second album, and you already have a third album?
It's my 4th album. Luckily, because you know, second album is quite often a problem, so I'm well behind second
There
album.
are bands who have the first album as the best album, you know, take 10 from Продажен is the best. They never went a little bit further than that, to be quite honest. Okay, thank you for the conversation. I hope that your last novel also will be translated into Macedonian, because Macedonian Czech relationship and languages, they are like extending more and more, and I think that maybe next year you will be again a guest.
Thanks again for having me. Yeah.